right now, so we're getting right into it.
What do you think is going to be that first chest?
Ooh, I'm gonna IsntEvenMyFinalForm. Dang it, Knox. First chest is gonna be a nice little heart piece, I think.
We'll see if you're right. I like those odds.
Don't worry, I got this covered. Thanks, Uncle.
He's such a helpful uncle.
Oh, I was close. Got a nice old heart container, starting off healthy. It's always good.
Well, we would introduce ourselves, but everybody already knows who we are at this point.
Hi, I'm Andy.
I am Adirondack Rick. So,
and this is Link to the Past Randomizer.
Absolutely. This is day number, I believe we're now at the end of day number 8 of this tournament. What a fun tournament it's been so far.
Yeah, there's been a lot of really good matches, a lot of really interesting seeds, a lot of close races. It's been a crazy first week and a half.
I know you've had your fair share of interesting seeds in the first week of this tournament.
Oh yeah, it happens.
Well, there's your piece of heart, by the way.
Oh, there it is.
You were just one chest off.
Just one.
Not much we can say about this because the escape first stage of this, the first 6-7 minutes are about the same. You're going to see these guys try to kill some guards. That's because, in this case, prize packs are shuffled. Want to talk about that?
Sure. So basically, in the vanilla game, there's certain enemies that fall into certain prize pack groups. And when you kill enemies, there's a 50-50 chance that an item is going to drop. If the item drops, then it moves to the next item in the group, and then it's still a 50-50 drop. And the enemies that are in the same groups are the same in Randomizer, but the items that get dropped are different. So normally you wouldn't be able to get a bomb drop in Escape, but because of the prize pack shuffle, there's a pretty high chance actually that you could get a bomb drop from an enemy in Escape.
Yep, and in the case of Final Form, he's got a bomb.
Yes, he does.
Now, Knox does not. Now, as we mentioned before, it's very important that you have a bomb during the escape.
Yeah, if you get a bomb drop in Escape or get a bomb in some chest and some bombs in a chest, you can bomb open the second or third to last room in the sewer and get 3 chests that are in there, not having to double back later.
Hey, we got the Cane of Burna pickup for both of these guys.
They also both got silver arrows already.
Oh, wow. That's nice to have off your plate already at the very beginning.
Ooh, and IsntEvenMyFinalForm getting a second bomb drop. So It might be in Knox's best interest to kill this green guard that's encroaching him right now.
It might be best interest to kill him just because of the fact that he's going to give him some difficulty, too.
Alright. Ooh, bug catching net.
Yes, we're finding all the nice items so far. And they're rolling off to the escape.
The escape is pretty straightforward. Killing enemies, opening chests. The only thing you really want to keep track of is if you get the map chest or not. If you are towards the end of the sewer and you haven't opened the map chest yet, you can guarantee that the sanctuary chest is the map and you don't have to open it. And other than that,
I was going to say, we saw that last night in the race with Garbanzo Guy, where it turned out to be the sanctuary. So Garbanzo Guy, with knowing that, said, pass, I don't need to open you.
Knox still without a bomb drop.
Yes, and this is very interesting. What if the rats aren't part of the dropping group this time?
Yeah, the soldiers are not in the same drop group as the rats. They might be in the same drop group as the snakes. I'm not entirely sure. What's my favorite type of Milano cookie? That's a good question. I haven't had a Milano cookie since probably like 2008.
So what do you think is going to troll these guys tonight?
Well, every race I commentate, I always hope for the Master Sword pedestal item to actually be a key item that's required.
We all do.
So that's what I'm hoping for. We've had a couple races where there have been major items there, but none of them have been required to beat it. And the snakes dropping 2 bombs for Knox back to back.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, you wouldn't know the feeling about pulling off an item off the pedestal, wouldn't you?
Not at all. I've never done that once in my life.
I hope you enjoy those sticks you got.
Oh, yeah. Alright, so the room that Knox is in, the dark room with the key rat. The rat always starts on the left side of the screen, so you can kind of take your pick. There's usually maximum 2 rats over there, so it's pretty easy to tell which one it is to not let them get away from you. Nothing too big in the bombable sewer wall room.
Yeah.
They did get the map, so they will have to open the sanctuary chest.
And it's always good to get through this place now because you don't want to have to backtrack later on. And hopefully we'll see a map from these guys once they come out onto the overworld, so we can actually see where we're going this seed.
Knox actually picking up a full magic drop. That could they do have Cane of Burner already, so that could help him out a little bit if he gets in a tight squeeze.
And now we've done with the escape. Your preferred route is to head on over towards the Lumberjack Cave at this point, correct?
Yep, ever since they randomized tree pulls, I like to check out what the intermediate pull is from the tree, check out Lumberjack, and then head to Lost Woods and prep another tree pull.
Yeah,
if the intermediate one isn't really useful.
So yeah, you want to explain the tree pull logic?
Sure, I can do that. So basically, the game has 2 different in-game counters that it correlates to pulling objects from trees. It keeps track of number of enemies killed since the last time it got reset and whether you've taken damage or not. And there's 3 different sets of items you can pull from the tree. One requires 1 kill and no damage for the basic one. The other one requires 3 kills and no damage, or 4 kills and taken damage. And then the last one requires at least 4 kills and no damage. And so you can test all 3 of them if you'd like. I usually try to test at least 2, hoping that bombs is one of them, because bombs are pretty crucial early game.
Yep, and we did see by the Lumberjack tree that it's likely AGA 1 is not going to be required this seed, as that only yields 20 rupee. But that doesn't mean the Pyramid Ledge is out of question at this point.
Yeah, we'll have to see how the early game plays out. And it looks like IsntEvenMyFinalForm pulled 4 bombs from the tree there.
Nice pull right there.
I wasn't paying close enough attention to see which pull it was, but he has plenty of bombs to go through Kakaro and Southern Hyrule without worrying too much. Luckily, Knox has more than 50 rupees, so if he chooses to do so, he can buy bombs from the shop in Kakaro, which I would highly recommend, having only 1.
I think he'll take his chance here in the hut first, see what comes in here. Maybe he might get some bombs. We find a heart container, a piece of heart. Well, there's going to be a bomb right there.
And the blue mail.
My goodness.
So, interestingly, the bomb capacity upgrades actually give you bombs. You get 1 bomb for a 5 capacity upgrade and 2 bombs for a 10 capacity upgrade. But the same is not true for the arrows.
And no worries about rupees here, as the hut gives them enough rupees to buy the bottle vendor, whatever that item's going to be. We'll find out after they're done with the well.
Looks like we have crystal 5 at Eastern, another crystal at Desert, and a pendant that I did not see at Hera.
Well, it looked like 1 was at the desert.
Okay. So knowing that 5 is at Eastern is pretty important, because that could come into play at some point.
Oh, bottle pickup there for Final Form. Very important for this town.
And more money. 7 was at Desert. Okay. Thanks,
And we're
chat.
being told it's 7, yep, instead of 1.
Yes, getting a bottle in Kakariko is pretty useful. That means they can check the sick kid here, and they won't have to come back to Kakariko to get items as frequently.
Well, it does look like the vendor today is worth a piece of heart. That's a very expensive piece of heart.
Ooh, isn't even my final form finding the mirror. That's a pretty good early find.
It is.
Once they get access to Death Mountain, well, basically that opens up Eastern Death Mountain to 2 items that they could possibly get instead of 1, since they already have the mirror. So either hammer or hookshot will open up quite a lot for both of them once they gain access to Death Mountain.
That's correct, and the sick kid yields the book. And it's not like we saw a mirror in the early race today over on Speed Gaming.
We did not.
I guess it was easy to predict how many times people mirrored in that race.
Ooh, and Moon Pearl in the library, so they already have some pretty good knowledge as well.
All you need is a set of dash boots, and you'll have yourself a Moon Pearl, the mirror, and we're not going to go get that piece of heart from the race. And Final Form going to Bonk's house. Time to check the southern shore.
This is pretty generic. Go down and left, and check the swamp area chest and drain heart piece, and then head on over to Lake Hylia and check a very fruitful Moldorm cave.
And you would recommend doing the swamp area first before you go towards... Oh, the bow!
Yes, I would.
Well, that's a good reason why right there. The bow, now that means Eastern Palace is beatable.
Yeah, and Eastern Palace being the crystal, there's not too much reason to not go there right off the bat. You pretty much have to do that entire dungeon more often than not in terms of searching what's in there. And it also has 3 chest locations, so it's a pretty good place to check early if you can beat it.
And now with the incentive to beat it, and Final Form knows that it's a required dungeon. We have not seen the map on Knox's end yet.
He opened the Knox during escape after the Uncle, which actually doesn't really help you out that much. If you open it up before the Uncle, I believe it shows pendants and crystals of dungeons, but I'm not entirely sure.
Oh, Titan's Mitt! Final Form finding the Titan's Mitt in the Light World Hype Cave. So that's going to open a whole lot of things once we can get the dash boots to get the Moon Pearl. Now we see a difference in the path right now, as Knox is not going to check the rest of the South Shore. He's heading for Eastern Palace right now.
That's not a terrible play. I mean, he has to do it at some point anyways. Why not now?
Final Form getting knocked out.
Ooh. Even with the blue mail, the crabs hurt.
They definitely do.
Knox not having any bombs to check Sahasrah's house before heading into Eastern. Hopefully
Oh, right.
Find some in there.
I was wondering why he was passing it up. I didn't notice the 0 next to that count. So where would Final Form go next?
He might want to head back to Ice Rod Cave. dying all the way out there, you might, if you leave it for later, you might forget because you know that you went all the way out there, but you might not remember whether you opened it or not. So he might be heading all the way over there. He might also be doing fake flippers to check Lake Hylia Island and go check out Hobo. But nope, it looks like he's going to be heading to Ice Rod Cave once again. Hopefully a little more successful this time.
That's correct. And Knox currently, he did find one of the 3 items in the Eastern Palace. Turned out to be 50 rupees.
Mm-hmm. There's another 50, so he's raking in some cash right now.
And that'll help out with the Zora purchase that's going to be coming up. Oh, red mail is what Final Form left behind.
Not too shabby. Blue mail's good, but red mail is better. Plus, I'm more of a fan of the purple hat than the yellow hat, if I'm being honest.
I'd have to agree with you on that assessment.
Let's see if Knox can pull off the skeleton room correctly, and that is a negative. We're gonna get quite a large skeleton spawn here. And there's all 4 with a delayed spawn. That's something you don't want to see.
And plus the lag of the silvers. And we get fake flippers on Final Form.
Not enough rupees to go check Zora's yet, and he also doesn't have actual flippers, so he wouldn't be able to get the Zora's Domain heart piece location yet. So heading up there is not a smart move. So checking out the Hobo, he's going to save and quit and probably head towards Eastern.
Yeah, it seems like that's the kind of seed where it's going to shove these guys into that path right now. Feels like a race I commentated on last night. Let's see what the Hobo has to yield for Final Form. There's the boots.
Ooh. All right, so a little sequence break there. So the logic is intended to not require glitches. So the logic must have intended you to get flippers relatively early, possibly somewhere in Eastern, so that you could go check Hobo, so that you could go get the Moon Pearl. That also opens up the King's Tomb and the Sanctuary Bonkable Rock Heart Piece location.
And we're going to check the King's Tomb right now. And it's just an arrow increase.
Not exactly what he was looking for, but it's good that he remembered it was there. That's a place that a lot of people often forget because you don't tend to have mitts and boots this early.
So I think he's going to head to the Dash Cave next, and probably then to town.
Yeah, he'll probably be booking it straight to town. Or straight through town to get the Moon Pearl, unless this happens to be the flute or something like that. And it is not.
Oh, it's the color blue.
It's close.
Yeah, it's color blue, but unfortunately, you can't blow into it.
I mean, you could, but you might just look like an idiot.
The boots turned out to be at the Hobo, which was a very nice decision here for Final Form. Knox deciding not to check the South Shore. He's all right here. He's going to get his first crystal really soon, but just an interesting decision not to check the South Shore before going into Eastern. Final Form grabbing the Moon Pearl.
Knox also getting some bombs in Eastern, so he should be good to check Sahasrara on his way out.
And now with the Moon Pearl and the Mirror and the Dash Boots and the Titan's Mitt, Final Form can now check the Village of Outcasts.
Knox getting rewarded with the Butter Sword.
Ooh, nice.
So that's always good to have. I mean, Final Form will be getting it at some point, but Final Form wandering into Dark World now with a Fighter Sword, he might be inclined to do a dungeon depending upon what kind of items he gets, and wandering into dungeon with the Fighter Sword could be a little risky.
I can't believe it's not butter. And we're going to be coming upon probably one of the favorite Dark World spots to rupee grind because the way the game's coded at this point. And Knox is going to be careful with this last bomb. So if you're keeping an eye on Final Form, he's doing a rupee grind.
Which is pretty smart. You know, you need quite a bit of rupees. Maximum, you need something like 800 and some rupees, 500 for the Zora Flippers, 100 for the Super Bomb, 110 for Palace of Darkness, another 10 for the Tempered Sword location, and then another 110 for both Dark World Heart Piece games. So rupees, if you don't get loaded early, it's not too bad to farm a little bit at the chess game.
Yeah, but I will advise people that that is going to be going away once the tournament's done.
Yeah, that was a little bug in the randomizer logic.
And a piece of heart at the bumper cave says, no, we don't need to do that now. We probably don't need to do that, period.
And Knox does know how to do fake flippers, so hopefully we'll be seeing that from him here shortly.
He's going to get the Titan Smith right now.
There we go. Isn't even my final form checking the graveyard ledge already. Looks like he's not gonna be able to check anything else on this side. Without flippers, he can't go any more east than he is now without getting cut off by water.
Yeah, but, oh, the hammer!
The hammer, that's a pretty good find. That's a tough location to remember. So that is a pretty solid find for him.
And you mentioned it earlier, with the hammer or the hook shot, they have access to East Death Mountain. Now Final Form has that access if he chooses to do so.
Yep, I'd be... Alright, we get a look at the Dark World. Ice Palace and Swamp not required.
That we know of.
Well, no, that we know of. They are pendant dungeons, but that does mean that we will have to see at some point what medallions Turtle Rock and Misery Mire are. That also means the Ice Rod is required. So...
Ice Rod is required. Fire Rod would be required. Those
Knox
are
getting the red mail. So since he's not saving and quitting, hopefully that means he will be heading down to fake flippers. Getting the boots now would be pretty crucial into Knox catching up.
That's correct. Cadence Mario is going to be required. So too with the flute.
Mm-hmm.
And technically, flippers are required in this seed. Although,
Yes.
for those who don't know the fake flipper, or rather, those who do know the fake flipper,
There we go. Ooh, Knox forgot to hold right. How unfortunate. Knox trying to just line it up on the last pixel.
you got to be on a particular frame for the trick to work.
You have to be 1 pixel from the screen transition. Basically, when you jump off a ledge into water, the game gives you 1 frame of movement before you drown. So
Yeah,
jumping off one... There we go, finally. Jumping off 1 pixel away from the screen transition, once you jump off the ledge, you get that 1 frame of movement. So you can move into the screen transition while in the water, thus transitioning you while you're sort of in a pre-drowning state, and that just allows you to swim. But if you get hit, the game will pop you out of the water, and you'll drop back in and drown because you don't actually have flippers. And the game won't really know where to put you back. So it'll try to put you back where it thinks you should go, and that would lead to a soft lock in the vanilla game, but luckily that is patched out in Randomizer, so you'll just take a death.
Oh, Fire Rod for Final Form.
Ether, Red Boomerang, and Fire Rod.
Hype Cave living up to its hype. Yeah, the Fire Rod required not only for Turtle Rock's Trinex, but also for the final stage of Skullwoods.
Alright, Knox checking King's Tomb. He'll be disappointed to see just a 5-arrow upgrade, but looks like Knox is taking a similar route to
So at this point in time, until those two paths merge together, we don't really know who's ahead at this point.
Knox with a crystal and a better sword, but isn't even my final form with a little advantage with the items. Final form will have to do Eastern at some point, so he will 100% get the things that Knox has already gotten. Whereas Knox may or may not get the things that Final Form already has, depending upon his routing.
And a blue rupee the reward for the digging game today, and Final Form says no.
If Final Form saves and quits now, since he hasn't beaten Aghanim, Aghanim 1, he will respawn in the Light World. Even though he has the Mire and the Moon Pearl, which I forgot to mark off. Since he hasn't beaten Aghanim 1, since that's the trigger for the Pyramid respawn, they will not get that. And there's Knox with the Moon Pearl. Let's see what he decides to do.
He's going to save and quit, and where he spawns next? He's going home.
Not entirely sure why, but... Ooh, Knox might be forgetting he doesn't have the hammer. And that's exactly what's happening.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or he might be heading to the desert.
Looks like that's what he's doing. He knows that desert is a crystal. He does not have a fire source yet. So he's taking a little risk here.
Yep, so unless he finds the lamp somewhere, either in the desert palace or outside of it, he's not going to be able to beat this. Oh, there's the power glove.
Too bad he doesn't need it. More gloves, more problems. So Final Form heading into Thieves Town.
And I like the fact that he waited before going in to find where the hammer was.
Yep, with the hammer he will be able to check every single chest in this dungeon. This dungeon is also one of the easier Dark World dungeons in terms of like enemy difficulty, boss difficulty, and just overall routing with the chests. So it's a pretty easy call for an early Dark World dungeon.
And Final Form has the fighter sword, but that doesn't matter when you're going up against blind. And we find one of the two items that are tucked away in the desert. That is the red rupee, which is bad news here for Knox. So without a fire source in the next couple of chests, you can't beat this dungeon.
And there's the second with the heart piece, giving him an extra heart container, but not really helping him out. So he might be mirroring and checking out our good buddy Aghanis' cave. But we will see.
He's gonna go check the big chest. Now we know it's gonna be one of the desert items, whether the palace items, either to be the map or the compass.
Yep, last two chests. That's all that they can be. So within dungeons in the Randomizer, all dungeon-specific key items, such as small keys, the big key, maps, and compasses, have to remain in their own dungeons. So every other chest in a dungeon is what we call junk chests. So if you keep track of what you've opened already and you have a good knowledge of how many small key chests are in each dungeon, you can kind of make educated guesses about what are in some chests.
Uh-oh.
So Knox heading into Desert 2. There are no chests up here.
Ooh, the second level shield here for Final Form.
So Knox is going to be a little disappointed that he walked up here without a fire source.
Yep, he is going to find out fast in about 45 seconds from now that he can't beat this. probably thinking I'm about ready to claim this dungeon's pendant, rather crystal. Here we go. Go! And he just realized the mistake. So the next question is, where will Knox go next? Will he head to Death Mountain or to the Dark World? We haven't seen anything at Death Mountain yet. But it does
Looks
look like
it's going to be heading up to Death Mountain. Taking an interesting route, but...
And we find out what's in the big chest. Well, I don't know. I didn't see it. Hopefully the chat can help me out with that one. I didn't see what the item was in there. Lag was in the chest. Okay, good. So it wasn't just me. Oh, are you doing a blind run of this game?
So Knox getting the shovel from the old man. Reminder that to get the boots, the flippers were actually required, so it shouldn't be too much longer until he finds the flippers.
And also the Moon Pearl was boot required, so you're not going to see it in the Dark World.
Unless it just so happened to be on the pyramid, is the only Dark World place that flippers could actually be.
Yeah, that's correct.
Doesn't need that 5-arrow upgrade. And Knox still without a fire source, so he may be risking skipping a key chest in Hera if he decides to go in here.
I'm thinking based on the way he's acting right now, he is going to head over to the Tower of Hera, but if he's the wise move, he'll go check the tablet first. And that's exactly what he's doing.
No, Hera is a crystal. Oh no, Hera is a pendant. You're right. I mixed up desert and Hera in my head. Knox heading in here anyways. I'm not sure if it was the green pendant or not.
I think I saw red, but I'm not 100% certain of that.
Final form getting a blue bottle.
And that's one of the 2 items you're going to find here.
So Knox saving and quitting.
That's interesting. So Knox taking his shovel, well, once he gets past this guard, that's probably the best guard Ganon ever had. He'll dig up and we find, oh, there's the hook shot. So the hook shot being the shovel item. Now Knox can head on over to the eastern inside of Death Mountain, just like Final Form has the opportunity to do so from the opposite side. Final Form just still searching through Skullwoods.
Looks like Knox heading into the Dark World, even though he just got the hook shot. So my guess is that flippers are going to be on east side Death Mountain. But Knox heading into Dark World isn't a terrible play at the moment either. He could get Hammer here, which would open up Hype Cave. Well, he has access to it now, but it would be a little bit of a trick. But there's some good items he can find here if he plays his cards right.
And confirm that Hera was a green pendant.
Okay. Knox getting some mad cash.
Oh, nice. Now, did you happen to notice which was the 6th crystal?
I did not.
Being told that Final Form grabbed the cape in the second item that's in Skullwoods.
Thank you.
And we're being told that Turtle Rock is crystal number 6.
Okay, so hopefully the big bomb will not be playing a part in this for the sake of both our runners. I don't even wish having to go to Turtle Rock early on my greatest enemies.
But we still hope for a pedestal required. Ooh, Final Form's not gonna have enough magic. Oh no, he did. Never mind. I thought he didn't get that bottom torch.
Yeah, he's good. He has no magic from Mothula though, and Fighter's Sword takes a whopping 16 hits on Mothula. So
is there anything else that you can use besides the Fire Rod against Mothula?
Cane of Burna, which he has no magic for. Oh, he has a green potion. So he will be unleashing the Fire Rod on Mothula. Silver Arrows will not work. He actually hit him, which is pretty insane. but just giving Mothula a little chin attachment there, not really doing anything else.
It's a piercing.
So you gotta be a little careful. The Mothula fight's actually programmed pretty poorly. And Mothula's programmed to not take damage from spikes, because, you know, his boss arena is filled with them. So if you slash Mothula into spikes, the slash will actually do 0 damage. Same with the Fire Rod. So he has to be careful. Well, he's dead now, but you have to be careful where you fire on him to make sure that when you hit him, he doesn't recoil into the spikes.
Final Form picking up the boss key for that, which we know is not even essential for this dungeon at this point, and picks up the first crystal for him at 36 minutes in, but had to use both his green and the blue potions for that. That's alright, you can get money easily. Now, Final Form's going to check this chest, and this might be where counting your chest can come back to haunt you, or if not counting your chest, can come back to haunt you, because we already seen
Skullwoods has a lot of small keys. Also, only 2 key items, so keeping track of those 2 things is pretty important in this dungeon. This dungeon and Palace of Darkness, the 2 big ones that you should really keep track of.
Knox now in Thieves Town, as you mentioned before. It's one of the easier Dark World dungeons as far as enemy groups and things like that. Butter swords are going to be easy against some of these, but blind, as we mentioned before, it doesn't matter what kind of sword you have. In Final Form now, heading to Eastern Palace.
So he will shortly be greeted with a... looks like he's going to be heading to Palace of Darkness first. Which makes sense routing-wise, because you can finish Palace of Darkness and then mirror outside to go straight into Eastern. But he doesn't have the lamp yet, so he will have to tackle some dark rooms.
Yep, and this is with the fire sword intact, because he's not heading over to the Eastern Palace. But watch, we find the lamp just before he has to encounter one of those dark rooms.
Yes, normally you can avoid... Looks like he's mirroring outside of Sahasrala's house to check his back room before he heads into Palace of Darkness.
That is an interesting strategy. I've never thought of that.
There's a couple places you can mirror in the hedge maze and be right outside. Unfortunately, just a heart container in there, giving him a little more health for some of the dark rooms that he might have to tackle in here.
And adding to his bonk count.
You'll actually have to go back in the maze. He will not follow you if you are in that invulnerable state from the mirror.
Come on, Kiki. Come along. Take my rupees. Open up my palace. Thank you.
Yeah, so luckily, Final Form does have silver arrows, which
he's gonna do Eastern first.
Ooh, interesting. Okay, so that's actually a good call.
Now he doesn't know it, but it's an extremely good call for what you can find inside this palace.
Yeah, probably doing this because he doesn't have the lamp yet, and hoping to find the lamp in here. Since he had to do this dungeon anyways. But he'll be happy to get the gold sword, I'm pretty sure.
And the red shield pickup here for Knox, by the way. And we go grab Blind, get the 50 rupees that was being saved up. You just took Blind's life savings right there, Link. And we get ready to see the Blind fight on Knox. As we mentioned before, what sword you have doesn't matter. It's going to take 9 hits no matter what level sword you have.
Yep, and the Cane of Burna actually does hurt Blind, so if Knox is feeling in danger at all, he can just press the Y button and just just stick around Blind's body and kill him pretty easily.
A nice little dance of the shuffle. I'm surprised he hasn't turned it on here, because you get your magic refilled at the end of the dungeon anyway. And bombs your reward for killing Blind today. We might as well have a little bit of fun with the Cane of Burna while we have it in our inventory. And that's crystal number 2 pickup here for Knox.
Ooh, Final Form getting the boss key trick, where he used invulnerability frames from taking damage from the Popo to go through the anti-fairies. Very well executed.
So far, the seed seems to be moving along at a good, brisk pace.
Surprisingly, both people with access to Eastside Death Mountain, which has 8 chests, neither has opted to take a look over there yet.
Yeah, you got the 8 possible chests plus access to the Dark World for another 6.
Mm-hmm. Knox is the only one with access to all 6 at the moment. Final Form only having access to 3.
Oh, right, yes, that's correct, without the hookshot at this moment. So, about ready to face off against the Armos Knights. This is going to be an easy fight here. You got silver arrows and 32 arrows. You're going to lose a couple in this room. And Knox heading to the bonk count right there. And with the early boots, you're going to figure the bonk count's going to be on the higher side tonight.
Mm-hmm. That's how it usually goes. The longer you have the boots, the more time you have to bonk.
And we have the pickup of the Butter Sword and a crystal here for Final Form.
So that's crystal number 3. Knox only lagging behind on Skull Woods.
That's correct, and now with the fire rod, he has access to it.
He has access to that. He can finish Desert if he chooses to do so.
So we're gonna see where Knox decides to head to next. And he's thinking about it, rolling around the roulette wheel. He's gonna go to home, and I think he's gonna go to Desert next. And yeah, that's exactly what it looks like he's doing now. He's going to head to Desert to finish that off. Most we have seen of Death Mountain so far is the little bit on the west end that Knox took us on a tour of, where we found the shovel that yielded the hookshot.
Shovel was the old man item, so it doesn't take too much exploring in Death Mountain to actually find that one.
Yep.
Yes, Misery Mire is required, so we will need both the flute and a medallion, possibly, if it's not ether.
As well as the Cane of Samaria.
Mm-hmm.
But you could still find that inside the dungeon at some point in time.
Can Knox catch up? Of course he can. It's still very early stages. Knox only one crystal behind. Their items are relatively even at the moment, minus the hammer. The hammer just north of Darkwold Kakariko. But there's still lots of items that are required. Don't necessarily need to find the flippers, but the flippers were intended to get found before boots in the logic.
So we're speculating at this point in time that the flippers are going to be found in Eastern Death Mountain. Still, no, I don't think so. I was going to say still a possibility it could be here in the desert, but you would have no fire source to get to this point.
Right. Unless the lamp is in Eastern Death Mountain or something like that.
Yeah, unless it's a ridiculously long chain like that.
Yep, Ice Rod is another big one that's still missing, which can be anywhere except for Ganon's Tower and a Trinix drop item. The only requirement for the Ice Rod is to kill Trinix, so it is a very, very lowly restricted item.
And there's very much a possibility we could see that to be the Mimic Cave, for all we know. And we're going to see the bomb jump here from Final Form in the Palace of Darkness.
The double bomb drop on the same tile is always a little scary because the first bomb that you pick up is always the one you drop first. And normally you want the bomb that blows up first to be the, wow, getting the flute in the dark room, that is pretty big.
Yeah, that is awesome right there. And that takes care of one of the required items too. This is where knowing the layout of this room will definitely help you out.
Mm-hmm.
And he picked something up, but you couldn't see it because of the way the sprites work in this game.
Yeah, sometimes you can see the items that come out of chests in dark rooms like this, and sometimes you can't.
So Knox now up on Death Mountain, so that means he just got the shovel. Oh no, never mind. He's already been on Death Mountain before. He's gonna head over to...
Finally heading over to East Death Mountain, where he can check all 14 chests that are over here in both the light and the dark world, along with checking the medallion required for Turtle Rock, which is a required item.
Yep.
So it's a little faster to do the dark world Death Mountain first with the mirror, and then mirror at the top of the mountain. But it's not a huge deal.
A heart pickup as well as the key in the dark room.
Ooh,
that's
Ice Rod. Knox finding Ice Rod in the first Death Mountain cave.
Oh, that takes care of another required thing, and well, it's not in the depths of Turtle Rock this time around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Luckily, Ice Rod isn't in too bad of a location. Hopefully, Final Form will be checking that at some point in the near future. Honestly surprised that both of them haven't been here as of, 10, 15, 20 minutes ago even.
Oh, there's the lamp.
Yep, there's the lamp.
So that's the path we were looking at, and I didn't notice. What did the Desert Palace drop?
I do not know.
So we've got the lamp on Knox's end. This is a kind of race where, because of two completely different paths, you cannot speculate who's got the lead at this point.
Yeah, Knox will be saving some time due to not having to mess with dark rooms and Palace of Darkness at all.
Final Form just has to be careful because he's down to 1 heart.
Knox taking a little anger out on the dead rock there, getting in his way, and decided to whack him with one of the most powerful items in the game 7 or 8 times. You know, we all wish we could do that every once in a while.
If only there was a way to destroy those things.
You can actually kill them, not while they're rocks, but if you use quake, they turn into little bags of nothing, and you can actually kill them.
I'll make sure I note that the next time they bother me.
But quake is quite a time-consuming endeavor, so it's never really worth it, unfortunately.
Yeah, we're seeing the mirror trick to get rid of the blocks.
Yep, a Japanese 1.0 only glitch. If you use the mirror while you're pushing a block in an area where the mirror doesn't normally work, the block will disappear forever until you reload the room.
Speaking of disappearing, goodbye, Link. This is a very treacherous 3-room gauntlet coming up here for Final Form.
Yep, the first 2 rooms not too bad, but the 6 turtle room, if you're not entirely sure where the torches are, or if you get hit early, it can go downhill pretty fast.
Now, I don't know if Knox checked. Did he check the pendant at all, or no?
He did not.
Or rather, the medallion.
I do not believe so.
A nice use of the fire rod to light up one of the torches that gets him out of that room.
Final Form having a very good turtle party room.
So
Hookshot Cave sword upgrade.
Yep, Hookshot Cave leading to one of the sword upgrades would either been the Master Sword or the Tempered Sword. A bottle with a bee in it, and some rupees.
And a heart container. Yes, once you get Butter Sword, the other 2 sword upgrades will appear to be the Butter Sword. That will happen if you collect any sword that would normally be a downgrade to what you already have. Like if you have the Master, if you have the Tempered Sword already, and you pick up the Master Sword, it'll appear as the Tempered Sword.
And we find out that Quake is the medallion required for Turtle Rock.
So at least 1 more medallion required. We haven't gotten a chance to look at Mire yet because Final Form just got the flute, hasn't activated it yet. But if Mire needs bombos, then we will need all 3 medallions at some point in this run.
That's correct. And just an update here, Knox did pick up the magic powder in one of the caves. They believe the Dark World Death Mountain cave. And Spiral leads to the half magic. Yo ho ho, it's magic for Knox.
So that cave is actually another one of the more forgotten caves. It is it's a little out of the way, and especially if you don't have boots, it is quite a long trek to get that 1 chest. So if you forget to do it while you're doing the rest of Eastern Death Mountain, it could slip your mind very easily.
Knox trying to figure out what he's going to do next. And at this point in time, I'm trying to think if there could be any required items that would be locked in the Master Sword pedestal, because we are all looking for that 1 seed that the pedestal is going to be required. Any of the 2 medallions that we've mentioned, the Bombos or the Quake could be there. We could find the Cane of Samaria there too. I'm surprised we have not seen the flippers yet.
Yeah, it's flippers might be the pyramid item that Final Form is about to check over here. Ooh, it's the mushroom.
Mushroom. Part of the training sequence here. Could that be at the potion shop? Now, the other thing I'm thinking of is access to the Tower of Hera was available, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Flippers could most certainly be in Tower of Hera.
Looks like Knox is getting ready to head into the Palace of Darkness. I don't. What's the word I'm trying to think of? Oh no,
just kidding. LOL,
hey,
JK, he's out.
I don't disagree with the move, is what I was about to say. I guess he was trying to hear me stammer over my words here. Also, is it it's also possible, now that I think of it, Titans. Oh no, there it is. The flippers at the potion shop.
Wow. So the glitchless route would have let you get Gold Sword from Eastern, go to Aghanim, kill him, get the mushroom from the pyramid, save and quit. Once you got the mushroom, go to the witch's hut, get the flippers to find boots to find Moon Pearl. That is pretty crazy.
Yeah, that is insane. And by the way, Knox could not go to the Palace of Darkness because he doesn't have the hammer still.
That is very true. So Knox decided to go check out Skullwoods, which is another required dungeon. It's also a relatively quick dungeon to clear out if you know what you're doing.
Yep, we know there's nothing interesting as far as the 2 items in here are concerned. And we find a 20 rupee here for final form. He's going to check Zora's domain next. Hammer turned out to be in the Haunted Grove, where if you had to use the shovel, right next to the flute. The animals that scatter away, then you can finally pick up the hook shot. Oh no, that's the hook shot I was thinking of. The hammer turned out to be what? North of the graveyard?
Yes, the hammer was in the mirror cave in the graveyard.
Ooh, that's a very expensive potion and bottle there for final form. Quite the markup on the Zora's domain today.
He's a little greedy some days.
I love it when he asks you for 500 rupees and presents you with a rupee of a smaller denomination.
Knox finding the magic cape. That'll open up. Right. That'll open up one location for him in the bunker cave, which ended up being a heart piece, I believe.
That's correct. Turned out to be nothing that's required, but that's still a nice thing to have. And with half magic, you could use that, coupled with your butter sword, and have a quick time with Mothula.
So normally, Mothula, the gold sword actually does the same amount of damage as the spikes. So because Mothula is coded to take 0 damage from spikes, Mothula normally also takes 0 damage from the butter sword. But because of this being a casual level randomizer, where anyone could play, regardless of knowledge of the game, and the likelihood of you getting the butter sword before finding Mothula being relatively high, the damage value was altered a little bit, just for that one particular boss.
Ether, by the way, is the medallion required for Misery Mire, so Bombo's not required.
Alright, so just need to find Quake, Ice Rod, and Cane of Samaria, and Hookshot for final form. Don't know if he really needs the lamp. He seemed to do pretty well in Palace of Darkness, but Misery Mire and Turtle Rock both have some dark rooms in them. So we'll see if he finds the lantern at some point. Hopefully he will.
Yeah, it's right around the corner from where you find the ice rod, so I wouldn't see any reason why he wouldn't find it.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the question at this point in time, where is the Quake and where's the Cane of Samaria? Those are the only 2 items that are remaining on our request list.
Yep, we know where everything else is.
I love the stabbing attempts there at Final Form when he finds out the power glove was on the ledge.
So, Final Form heading into Desert, Knox heading into the later half of Skullwoods. We know that there's nothing left in either of these dungeons, besides the crystals that they hold.
Knox having some fun times here with the torches and getting a
still makes it through the door.
Refill. Yes, he does.
Ooh, missing. Oh, and then getting grabbed.
Oh,
missing the slash on the vines.
Yeah, he didn't get the slashing on time before the bunny beam hit him, so that left him vulnerable to the Wallmaster, and he gets to do this all over again.
This time around, the Mummy Hellway going a little more cleanly.
Yep. Now let's see, get him the slash before he gets pulled up. There he goes.
He doesn't need the mummy key because he's already gotten several other keys. There are plenty of extra keys in Skullwoods. This dungeon casually it tends to be go into a room that locks behind you to get a key from a chest so you can get out, or go into a room behind a key door that has a chest that has a key in it. So, pretty trolly dungeon normally.
Randomizer just beefs it up just a little bit by dropping a boss key for killing the boss.
We'll see if Knox has been keeping tabs on items he's gotten in Skullwoods. See if he wastes any time. We'll see if he actually mirrors to see what's on the Master Sword pedestal.
I would love that.
It's like he's going in to check this, check his map.
Yep, he's looking at his inventory.
So he saw that he didn't have the map. It looks like he's still going back in the dungeon. Ooh, final form for getting the big key, going straight here. That is an unfortunate oversight that will cost him a minute or two, and him pulling the wall in frustration. Both runners showing a little bit of frustration this run.
Yep.
It looks like Knox is just leaving Skullwoods normally. Hopefully so that he can go check the graveyard and the other couple items over here. Which will lead him to the hammer, which will put him one step closer to being in go mode.
That's correct. He's going to check the bumper cave first. We'll see that it's only for a piece of heart.
Don't you dare, Knox. Don't you dare.
No.
Don't do it, Knox.
No.
Okay.
Oh.
No. Knox. Don't play with my own. No. Oh my goodness. Knox toying with my heart.
It's tearing up your heart. And that's a huge decision right there.
Man.
And we know how painful that decision is because there's something that is essential that he needs to grab. You're in that vicinity, you might as well check those spots because of routing. And now because it's now, what, 2 loose bingo squares, you're probably not going to get back there for a little bit.
Knox doesn't know what to do right now.
Yep. What is he planning on doing? To continue or to save and quit?
Oh, man. Come on, Knox. Use your noggin. I believe in you. He's checked the King's Tomb already. He's also checked the Heart Piece Cave. What he hasn't checked is the meter graveyard location.
Yep, and that's now a loose space, so that's the less opportunity that he's going to get back there anytime soon. And another save and quit.
Knox might be going to Hera, unfortunately. Pulling the hook shot out for some reason. He's already checked all of East Death Mountain. He might be just doing hook speed here. Yeah, so it looks like he's heading to Hera to check that out. He has a fire rod, so he can fully explore it. Hera normally with only 2 items, but since it's a green pendant, you get access to 1 more item for beating the dungeon. Could pay off if he ends up getting the Cane of Samaria or Quake in here.
At this point in time, given how trolly these seeds have been lately, I wouldn't be surprised if we find essential items in here.
Alright, that's the big key. He already checked downstairs, which was an item, I believe. So he already knows where one of them is. So hopefully he'll be able to skip the tile room downstairs.
Final Form finally getting up to Death Mountain, where he's going to get the shovel real soon. And with the hammer in his arsenal, we are going to probably go see him check most of this Death Mountain. There's a 20 rupee in one of the chests, and now that makes...
Knox fallen down. He was inching close to try to hook shot, but ended up getting a little too close. Just taking a nice old dip.
A little too close for comfort there, and all the way down to the bottom. And now the look at his map, I can already tell you that there's nothing else good to find in this dungeon.
Only thing he'll get is the green pendant, which Sahasra could be holding one of the key items that we don't know where the location of is.
And that's correct. But right now, as far as this dungeon's concerned, all you have left are 3 chests. One of them's got the map, one of them's got a compass, one of them's got a key. And you know the key can't be downstairs.
Oh, Knox.
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 He's very persistent on what I am going to believe is going to be... let's just give him a map for this. That's my bet. No, it's the key. And Final Form going to check the spiral cave. So to answer the chat, do you get the Master Sword in any of these runs? Well, we haven't seen one in the tournament yet where the Master Sword item has been required.
Nope. I did pull the Master Sword item in hopes that the powder unlocked the mirror for me in one of my races, but that was not the case. And
all you got were 10 arrows for it.
Yep. And I also did a Master Sword only run in my first race. But other than that, we haven't seen too much of the Master Sword or its location in the entire tournament so far.
We had another race earlier today where one of the racers came into Ganon's tower with the fighter sword.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to pick up there for Final Form. And the amazing thing about that was he got over to the left side, trying to find where the big key was, and found, oh, here's the level 3 sword. And that's big because you cannot go up against Ganon with a fighter sword.
Knox did skip an item in Hera, but he knew that it was the compass, so there was no need to go check it. Since every map and compass and small keys and big key have to be in their own specific dungeon, he knew that he didn't have to go check it due to what he'd already found. Unfortunately, no key item from Sahasra, just a nice heart container.
Yes, Sahasra gave him his heart.
Yeah, Knox is still trying to find the hammer, which will lead him into Palace of Darkness most likely, which will get him the flute. But we haven't seen Quake or the Cane of Samaria from either side yet.
So the next play here coming up for Knox. I am interested. It looks like he might be thinking Zora's Domain. Yes.
He also never got the mushroom, so he cannot get the flippers yet.
So there's going to be an item on the ledge that he's hoping isn't required.
Yep, without the Aghanim kill, the only way to get to the mushroom is with the hammer. Since the mushroom unlocks the flippers, you can't swim from North Dark World, and the only way to access that is hammering through the pegs across the bridge from South Dark World.
And it's a kind of a reminder here that both of these guys were able to get to where they are because they sequence broke and got the fake flippers that yielded them the boots.
Yeah, this is why learning some of the sequence breaking glitches that are not major glitches are relatively easy to perform. So so learning them would be to your advantage. They definitely help with routing and can avoid crazy long backtracking seeds like this one from being terrible.
And what kind of resources would you suggest people look at in order to find more out about these small glitches?
There is a wiki that we've been slowly updating. It hadn't been updated for a while, but there's been a handful of people from the community that have been refreshing it. There is a fairly outdated no major glitches tutorial that I made. There's a couple other bombos, unfortunately not needed in the Cane of Burna cave. But there's a couple tutorials out there that you can find. If you look hard enough, you can find whatever you need to know about this game.
And you're definitely one of the people who know a lot about this game.
I've played this game once or twice.
Yeah, you played it a couple of marathon events.
just a couple.
Couple.
I've only been playing this game since April 2012. No big deal.
No, that's not a lot of time. You're not like all those people who grew up playing with it in the 90s. And Final Form's about to ready to pick up the hook shot.
There we go. There's a key item that he's been looking for. So it doesn't open too much for him, except for the Dark World Hookshot Cave, which does not really help him too much.
No, it doesn't, but there's another possibility here. Is what if one of the chests in the northern side of the Swamp Palace has an essential item?
So it looks like Final Form going to check.
He's going to check the bat. He does have the magic powder, though.
Ooh, a Cane of Samaria. We finally found one of the items we've been waiting for. From the Half Magic Bat. That is a pretty good location that is relatively easy to skip over.
That is correct. So the only item that is missing right now from Final Form's list is the Quake. And once he finds the Quake, he'll be on go mode.
So he can do all of Misery Mire at the moment.
And that by elimination also does make it so the pyramid fairy is not required.
Yep, since Quake is needed for Turtle Rock, there's no way to get Crystal number 6 without it.
So the question is where in Hyrule will the Quake show up?
I'm gonna guess Ice Palace.
Oh,
a nice old pendant dungeon.
That'd be an evil place to put it. Knox, I think, is very, very confused about what to do next.
Once he checks the he doesn't want to go into Palace of Darkness without the hammer.
Yep.
Well, actually, he can't because he doesn't have flippers. So he has no way to actually get to Palace of Darkness without hammer. So that's a big stranglehold on him right now, just not having the hammer.
That's correct. And he is confused, and there's one spot that he did not check, and we know that one spot.
He is heading north to Kakariko. Hopefully he'll be remembering that one spot and heading up there.
I would really hope so, because we've seen this happen to other runners, where one item has just really stopped their path. I can speak of my race against Darko, where I ended up getting confused by the Quake, which was Sarsaparillas, whatever you want to call it, whatever his name is. It was his item.
Looks like Knox might be heading to above the graveyard.
He's got the mirror.
So looks like Knox is finally on the right track.
Here we go.
Taking the long way around, but he's going where he needs to go.
Can't get there from there. He's going to have to take the longer route through, but there we go. We have liftoff, guys. Knox is about to find one of the things that have been holding him back.
So Knox actually not as far behind as you'd think. He's still got a lot of ground to make up, but with Final Form not having found Quake yet, it still could be anyone's game as long as Quake isn't in this dungeon.
That's correct, and we know Knox is gonna his next play has to be to go to the Palace of Darkness.
Yes, that is the next logical play for sure.
Because you want to, your opinion would be you want to do the Crystal Dungeons before you step foot into a Pendant Dungeon, right?
Of course, and Knox has actually knocked out a lot of the Overworld stuff, and one entire Pendant Dungeon, which Final Form hasn't done yet. So Knox has checked quite a lot of places, so his options, now that he has the hammer, haven't really opened up that much to where that he has so much more to explore. He has Catfish, which he couldn't check before. He had Pyramid item, which he couldn't check before, and Palace of Darkness. Everything else he's actually been pretty solid on.
And hopefully he will remember to go back to the Light World here and check the bat.
Yes, that would also be pretty big, because that would leave him pretty even minus the flute to Final Form's items.
That'd definitely get him the Cane of Samaria. We know, by the way, Misery Mire has 2 items in it. I haven't been taking great track of the 2 items that we found so far in this dungeon. Have you?
I have not.
There's one thing to be said about Misery Mire. Well, first of all, it's misery. Secondly, Knox is going to go do exactly what we need him to do. We've got ourselves a race, by the way.
So Knox making up some ground.
But Misery Mire is filled with keys and chests.
There are a lot of keys and chests. There's a lot of rooms that are completely pointless in this dungeon. Knowing how to properly route the last couple Darkworld dungeons, well, Ice Palace and Misery Mire most notably, to get all the chests quickly is really important for saving time. This can take quite a while.
How would you write yourself in this dungeon?
Knowing that I had to check everything, since I'm still looking for an item, I would pretty much check it with the no major glitches route. I'd go up to the north right of the main hub. I'd check the bridge chest. I'd come into that room, get the spike chest, get the key under the pot. I would go to the bottom left of the hub room, hit the switch, double back, get the chest behind the pegs from the switch, and then I'd get the torch chest, the 4 torch lit chest. I would get the moving wall chest, and then make my way around for the last 2 chests. Obviously, if you're not looking for everything, you're just looking for the the big key in this dungeon, you'll want to avoid the wall moving chest at all costs, because that is quite a solid time sink.
Which chest is that?
That is the one where you have to light the 4 torches upstairs behind the blocks.
Yeah.
So because you have to wait, 30 to 45 seconds for the wall to move, you want to save that one as a last resort chest, pretty much.
Knox is now checking the pyramid ledge.
So that'll be the mushroom, which will lead him to the flippers. Hopefully, Knox actually going to check Catfish and Mirror in front of the Witch's Hut on the way would be the best route to check both those items at the same time. But looks like he's going to be going to Palace of Darkness first. Which flippers are not required in this seed because of the fake flippers sequence break. So, mushroom not really necessary.
Well, that is right now, unless we find that they do have to go into the Swamp Palace.
That is true.
Which we don't know at this point. We're still looking for the quake.
Final form getting a couple kisses from these eyeballs. That is not something you want to do. Those eyeballs hurt. They do 3 hearts of damage normally without. They might actually do 4 hearts of damage without any extra mail.
They really hurt. And neither player has checked Master Sword pedestal, so we don't know what's in there. And Quake I'm sorry.
Go on.
I was going to say, Quake is our only hope for the Master Sword to be required this seed. Why do I have the feeling that the fates for this tournament are saving the Master Sword requirement for the finals?
Finals are going to be rough because the finals are a best of 5. I don't know if that's going to be done all in one day or separated into 2 days, but that's going to be interesting to say the least. The whole bracket stage is going to be crazy because all of the matches are single elimination, best of 3.
And if they do try to do best of 5 in a single day and it goes all 5 games, that's 10 hours of Link to the Past Randomizer. We as viewers are going to love it. As Knox makes his way through the Palace of Darkness here, just spreading his way up to the top of the stairs. In the early stages of this, we know that there's one nice item in here, and it is a required item in this dungeon. It is the flute, and you need it in order to access Misery Mire, because otherwise you can't get there from here.
That is very true. And the mirror shield being in purple chest.
Oh, that's a beautiful thing right there.
Solid find, although the mirror shield is not that big of an upgrade over the red shield, unfortunately.
Yep, the only difference that the mirror shield would have is it can help you against those little beams that come out on Turtle Rock. Now, is Final Form going to be checking Swamp Palace next?
Oh, that is a possibility.
He is heading in that direction.
Oh, we might be going to check Bombos, which happen to just have a green rupee.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly where he's heading right this moment. And no bomb jumping skills from Knox, but he's going to have the lamp, so we're going to actually see what's going on in these dark rooms. Now, you're one of the runners that can do dark rooms. How long did it take you to really learn how to do them proficiently?
A couple attempts. I mean, even with many years of speedrun experience in this game, when the lamp first got changed to not be restricted to the escape, the first seed that I wandered into Palace of Darkness without the lamp, it kind of caught me by surprise because I wasn't expecting it to be completely dark. But with how many times I played the game and how long I've been playing, I had a general idea of what the maze looked like, but it still took a couple attempts to, actually get my bearings in there while not being able to see anything.
Final Form, we're heading into the Swamp Palace, and this is a pendant dungeon, but there are 6 possible items in here. Could Quake be one of them?
Knox on his way to get the flutes.
And like we've mentioned before, we know it's required because Misery Mire is required.
So Knox, knowing that there's no chest left in the dungeon, not necessarily. He doesn't have the big key yet. So he knew he couldn't open the chest, that's what it was. So he has to find the big key. And he also needs 1 small key before heading to the basement.
Yep, and he's got places to check, like that chest right there in the center hasn't been checked. And there's one key right there as well.
So he'll be using that key on this locked door down here to hopefully get the big key from its normal chest.
So Quake is required because we know that's the medallion to get into Turtle Rock. We've yet to see where it has yet to make its appearance in this seed. And Final Form has not hookshot to grab the key off the pot, which means unless he grabs it soon, we're not going to see the possibility of him doing the wrong flooding, which we saw on one of our last night races. And you don't want to flood the room before you grab the key, because then it becomes a really bad problem where you have to leave the dungeon and then leave the screen the dungeon's on. And Knox now making his way over towards the northern side of the Palace of Darkness. It may look like he's down 6 crystals to 4, but this is not a walkway for Final Form, because it comes down to one major factor. Where is the quake?
So at this point, Final Form is thinking, if I don't find Quake in this dungeon, I really don't want to go into Ice Palace. Ice Palace is a huge pain to check because it requires a lot of backtracking, it requires a lot of knowledge of the dungeon. It's a very complicated layout.
And thankfully, Final Form, realizing that he didn't change the crystal back, the orb back before leaving the room, and went back in to do so, because he would have had a really bad surprise if he dropped down from the top. And yeah, you're correct. These guys definitely don't want to have to run into the Ice Palace if they can avoid it. We know where the quake can't be. It can't be in Turtle Rock, it can't be inside the pyramid, and it can't be in Ganon's tower.
Knox should be able to make quick work of King Helmsaur. So King Helmsaur moves around 3 times and then either swings his tail or makes fireballs.
Oh, we find the quake.
Ooh.
We find the quake in Swamp Palace. Final Form's on go.
Quake. So Knox getting his 5th crystal here. Has quite a lot of ground to make up.
Yep.
Without having Quake, he's going to have to go into Swamp Palace. He's also going to have to get the flippers, which he doesn't have yet.
Yep, and that now, of course, did guarantee that the flippers are required this seed. So he's on the lookout for Quake, and he doesn't know at this point, but he knows that he's going to be on the lookout for flippers too. And, well, nice wiggling around to get around that obstruction. So recap, the flippers that Knox doesn't have, that is when you trade in the mushroom at the potion shop. The Quake is in the Swamp Palace. Bombos turned out to be the Cane of Burna, and that is the 3 items that are currently not illuminated on his HUD. For Final Form, well, he's got all the items illuminated. It's time to go mode in Turtle Rock. So Turtle Rock coming up here The big key, you're going to need some keys. And that's pretty much all of the searching you're going to want to do in this dungeon. And Final Form still having a blue potion, so that gives him some room to work with here in these next 2 dungeons, plus the Ganon fight coming up. And oh yeah, by the way, you still don't have flippers, Knox.
Yeah, walking around that corner is a little tight if you don't have flippers. That's pretty easy to jump in the deep water there.
Now, these runners here, they're good skill levels here. At what point do you think they're going to get nervous about where the other person stands in this race?
That's a good question. I mean, that's always something that's in the back of your mind when you take a little while to find something. You're like, oh man, I wonder if my opponent, maybe came here before I did and didn't end up wasting so much time searching for something. But you gotta trust your gut. You don't wanna take unnecessary risks if you don't have to.
And you're making your way through Turtle Rock. How many keys is it that you really need to get through here?
You need quite a lot of keys actually. You need to have You need 2 small keys once you get the big key to get through the last 2 small key doors. So if you have 1 small key in the big key going into this this next pipe room, you want to go into the pokey key room, take the pokey's key, and leave. You want to actually do that regardless whether if you have the big key. Which Knox does not, I don't... Oh no, yeah, he did get the big key, so he's going to want to take this pokey key, because at best, using this pokey key on this locked door here will get you another small key, so there's not really a point in opening this door if you already have the big key.
And with only 1 key in hand, he's going to want to check the big chest, right?
Yes. Oh, looks like he is going to use it. Hopefully... I mean, it doesn't really matter if it's a small key or not. He's probably going to be checking most of the rest of the chest anyways. And it is not.
Which now does guarantee the fact that big chest has got to have a key.
Not necessarily.
Oh yeah, you're right.
There is 1 chest before the first small key door, and then there's 4 chests that you can check at the end of the dungeon. But the big
still,
key chest could definitely have it, so it's definitely worth checking while you're up here.
Right, you're going to definitely want to check that here, because you don't want to have to make the long backtrack through many rooms, especially if you get down to the basement still to find nothing.
Exactly.
Knox in Misery Mire, but unless he gets a huge flow of energy here, he's going to be on a very far back pace right now. And what is Final Form looking for?
He might just be coming in here to see what's in here. Not knowing how to do this room well, though.
And all this for 20 rupees.
So not entirely sure why he went in there. Maybe he thought that was a dungeon item, which it is not.
Yeah, it's not associated with Turtle Rock. And the big chest did have a key in it. And he looked like he was a little frustrated by yanking out the chest a little bit after opening it. It's a curious decision, and we'll have to ask him what about it when he gets done with this run soon. And it's a good thing he checked that big chest because there was not a key in there.
Definitely.
And we're going to see Knox probably be searching all of the chest in Misery Mire because he's still looking for the quake, which he knows is required to get into Turtle Rock. And a good question that is in chat, is there a good tutorial out there for learning how to do randomizer runs?
Specifically for Randomizer, there's a couple guides and things like that, but no like video tutorials. I mean, every randomizer is different, so it's gonna be all about learning, learning where everything is, learning what items block you off from accessing other things. Mythical and I are actually doing a Let's Learn Randomizer segment. We've done one segment of so far, 2 hours long, a couple days ago. And we'll actually be continuing that tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Eastern.
Right here at Speed Gaming, right?
Yep, right here at Speed Gaming, where I'll be walking Mythical, who has never done randomizer before, has no speedrun experience. I'll be walking Mythical through some basic speedrun strategies, teaching him some of the minor glitches that are good for randomizer routing purposes, and I'll be also walking him through where every chest location is.
And try next fight here, not too difficult. And good use of the pausing to switch over to the fire rod before the blue head would explode. It saves you time. So as Final Form gets ready to wrap things up here in Turtle Rock, we're going to do something that I normally do when we're on commentary, and other commentators have done the same thing. There are 22 possible chests, and also that includes the torch thing in Ganon's tower before you have to go upstairs. Of those 22 items, how many do you think Final Form is going to have to open or bonk into before we find the big key? And I'll turn to Andy. What do you think?
I like to go with solid 21.
Oh, 21. I'm gonna go with 13. And we get all the answers in chat. Everyone's just go ahead and spamming it up there, giving us their numbers. We've seen some 21s and 13s and 10s and 5s and 6s. And it's good to see people getting into this. As Vitreous is going down here on Knox's end, Silver Arrows is going to make this an easy fight. So here we go. Now Knox has 6 crystals, but he still has to find the quake, otherwise he can't get into Turtle Rock. Final Form checking the right hand side. This is the standard route. Arrow upgrade first, bomb second. And we find the tempered sword on the bonk item. And because with Butter Sword, these guys aren't going to grab it, we're going to see an appearance from Bob. Want to explain that real fast?
I'm sorry, I was typing in chat. What did you ask?
About Bob.
See, I don't know this Bob meme.
It's the name that they apparently give the anti-fairy that appears before chest number 14 before you drop down the Armoses.
Oh, the weirdly sprited anti-fairy for whatever reason, because something's not properly loaded.
That's correct. Final Form going through chests 4 through 7 doesn't find it. We head on over to chest number 8. I'm wondering where Knox is going to head off to next. I'm interested in seeing the routing here, as chest number 8 doesn't have it on Final Form's end. And here, using the hook shot to set himself up at the block, and we're going to be coming up to chest number 9 right now. And chest number 9 has the single rupee. You know what? Because I'm thinking of it, I don't think we've seen the single arrow at all this seed.
I don't remember.
I don't think we have, but Final Form now checking chests 10 through 13. And 10 has a key, 11 has the rupees, 12 has the map, 13 has the red rupee. I'm sorry, my guess is wrong. We're going to see Bob.
21 is still in the running.
Yes, that's correct. I'm wondering if Knox forgets that he has a mushroom to trade in.
He might be forgetting that he does not have the flippers.
Oh boy. Oh, he does have it. He traded it in.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yep. And there's the big key. Number 14. Bob held it. So if you guess number 14 in the chat, congratulations. You win a piece of our affection. So now just to run up to the Ganon's tower, and you obviously have a lot of experience with this tower. This just becomes a no major glitches run. What do you try to do with this tower at this point?
I mean, all you can really do at this point is is go fast. This Ganon's tower is a very, very difficult dungeon to optimize. There's these 2 mimic rooms, which are some of the hardest rooms in the game to do quickly. The gauntlet is a whole lot of reacting to RNG of enemies and learning how to kill them quickly, depending on certain circumstances. Lamola's 2 fight, the Moldorm 2 fight. There's just a whole lot to this upstairs Ganon's tower that if you're watching someone who's not super experienced with speedrunning compared to some of the top runners that are in the tournament, like Christos Owen, ACMLM, Evil Ash, AJ Neb, you will definitely see an insane time gain in Ganon's tower.
And that was the case of where you made up time against Dan.
Yeah, I was quite a bit behind because Dan went to Swamp Palace relatively early, much earlier than I did, to get the last acquired medallion. But dungeon rushing Turtle Rock and Ganon's tower, I gained minutes just because of that. And Dan isn't even someone that doesn't have speedrun experience. Dan has an okay time in no major glitches.
But that just shows you if you can find a way to almost optimize the Ganon tower where you can make up a lot of time.
Yeah, it's crazy what a difference is between a 135 player and a 125 player.
Just little things that add up over time.
I'm pretty sure Dan has a sub 140 anyways, which is definitely respectable.
Oh, absolutely. It's a whole lot better than my time, which is unpublished and never have done that category. Knox is about probably 90 seconds from now, maybe a little bit more, from finding the last piece of his puzzle. And that is a hard room to do under one cycle there, that second Wizrobe room. It's just amazing how some of the best in this game can make that look easy. So as we head up to the tower, and 4 chests remain for final form. With everything in hand, I don't see him opening up any of these chests, and with 2 keys left, he has no reason to kill those mini Helmosaurs. So, barring a difficult last few minutes here from Final Form, it looks like Final Form will be evening out his record in 1-1 in this tournament. Although he just took a fall to our dear friend Moldern. Moldern going down, and we're getting ready for the final piece, and Knox finding the final piece of the puzzle for him. He now can head over to Turtle Rock, and his HUD does need to be updated to display the 6 crystal that he has. But other than that, it's time to head up to Death Mountain and finish off this game. And Final Form getting ready to visit off against Dag and M2. Final Form opting not to check that final chest. Like I said, he has no reason to check it at this point in time. Gets a double hit on the first cycle of agates. Tries to set things up for another double here, but just missed that first fire, that first beam. Here he goes. Will we get a 3rd cycle? Oh, that's a good triple right there for Final Form. He's off to Ganon.
Alright, so Ganon with the gold sword, silver arrows, pretty simple fight. You can still take a lot of damage, so you do have to be a little bit careful. A lot of Ganon's attacks do multiple hearts of damage, even with the red mail.
And there's several phases to this fight, and they do require a certain amount of hits in order to move on to the next.
Yep, the first phase takes 6 hits with the gold sword. If you've acquired those 6 hits before Ganon starts spinning his trident, the second phase will start right as he starts spinning it. And the second phase is this fire bat ring phase. This also takes 6 hits with the gold sword. Once he teleports, if he doesn't have his trident anymore, he will start stomping the ground. It takes 1 hit for him to stomp the ground. He's got to do that 4 times in total. And then you just have to lay 4 silver arrows into him to finish him off.
And there's a way, and we've seen it several times over the course of this tournament, that you can get double hits on him when he turns blue.
You can also get a triple hit if you are fast and good.
And that's a really fast use of the torch glitch there for Final Form.
Missing the arrow, though.
Oh, swing and a miss. As he pops over to the right-hand side, Ganon getting ready, and it looks like he's getting ready to have the torch extinguished. Make sure that it doesn't. Avoids the back, gets around to the other side. Ganon on the left top, right, left, and there's the 4th and final hit onto Ganon. He's going to wait for all this animation and fanfare to finish up, and then the staircase will come down. He will be able to get done and even out his record of 1-1 in this tournament. And he'll finish first with a final time of 1:48.43. Good time.
Yes, definitely a respectable randomizer time. Thank you. Your quest is over. So we'll see if Knox decides to finish this one out.
And I don't see why he wouldn't, because to forfeit a run means that you are given a 6-hour time, which is important for tie-breaking purposes.
It's actually not true. Tiebreakers in the group stage will all be broken with a tiebreaker match. The times are only important for the seeding of the bracket stages.
Ah, thank you. That actually clarified something for me. I didn't realize it was that kind of way.
So,
it's
so
good
if
to know.
you're expected to make the bracket stage, or you think you're going to make the bracket stage, you don't want to forfeit because that will alter your average time quite heavily. But Knox lost his first match against AJ Neb, which is a tough match. AJ Neb is a pretty high caliber runner of this game. He has a 126. 20 something, I believe, in no major glitches, and a pretty solid knowledge of the game. So this was pretty close to a must win for Knox.
And Knox ended up acknowledging it here. He knows of the fate. We will not have Isn't Even My Final Form in an interview. He doesn't have a mic, so unfortunately he will not be joining us for any post-game, post-race commentary with us. And while we wait for Final Form statistics to pop up, chat can get into the activity once again by giving a guess how many bonks they think Final Form had during the course of this run. And shrooms let you swim.
We never got to see what was in the Master Sword pedestal, so it'll be interesting to see what's there.
I'm going to guess couch
Probably
cash.
just some more couch cash.
Yep.
Boy tickles again. That's not something you like to see in the news.
Your reporter 11 o'clock. Boy tickles again over at the Haunted Grove. We have full details.
Your desire. Knox making his way through the later stages. He forgot to check the big chest, so he did not get the small key there.
Uh-oh. Don't save and quit. Don't save and quit.
Save and quit would have been the worst option he could have picked. Luckily, he's just backtracking a little bit.
Hey, the Skylar League kid.
Yes, let me take a look at our race schedule. We do have more Link to the Past tonight.
Yes, we do.
So right now, let's see. There was another race going on. I'm not sure if it's still going between Jet 082 and Raikou Rider on the Speedruns Live channel. There is another race going on right here on Speed Gaming starting whenever this one is done between Bent Glass Tube and Wild Anaconda 69. And there's also another race starting at midnight EST between Mr. Wonder and Tear on Speedruns Live.
And then on top of that, we have a busy schedule for you tomorrow with even a early breakfast with the Link to the Past randomizer. Well, L. Minster against Fred Coughlin at 9 a.m. We don't know where the restream for that one's going to be at this point, but then in the afternoon, Amazing Afros versus Alan Nim at 2 p.m. And we're saying all these times are Eastern times, Eastern Daylight Times. Jedi versus Ninny Z, Zarby 89 versus Rubles, Swerve versus Christos Owen, Carcat versus In the Name of DT, Triscorp and Weepin, Zero Rush and Dodecahedron, and Andy 4H, N4H and Leodox coming up. And then one way late at night on Thursday night.
Wow. 2 a.m. race, that's rough.
Yep.
Yeah, we got plenty of... We got... Let's see, where are we at right now? We're at 75 to 108. So that's 34 matches for the rest of the week that we have scheduled currently. There's still room to schedule some more if people choose, but at the moment we have quite a lot of races lined up for the last couple days of the week.
Yep. And we still have a lot more way to go with 100+ people in this tournament. Did you ever think when they started up the concept of doing the tournament that there were going to be over 100 people signed up for this?
I knew there were going to be a lot, but I didn't think there were going to be this many. I figured like 75, 85. But there was a big push in the last couple days of submissions to push it over 100.
Absolutely.
Like a lot of there's been a lot of tournaments throughout the speedrun community the last couple months, years, etc. And this is by far one of the biggest speedrun tournaments that we've had.
Definitely the biggest randomizer tournament we've had.
Oh yeah, the Zelda 1 randomizer is starting up pretty soon.
Yep, in fact, it's starting up with matches starting tomorrow.
And I actually don't know much about Super Metroid Randomizer. I haven't kept up with it too much. I don't know if there's been tournaments of that. I know there have been some Super Metroid Bingo tournaments, but the good matchup tomorrow to watch, not necessarily because it will be very close. I'm not entirely sure how good Swerve is, but Christos Owen is the number 3 seed in the tournament, for the soft seeding anyways. So Christos Owen was one of the lead minds behind the logic, making sure these seeds cannot be soft locked. Things like that. So he will be he's a pretty good guy to watch if you need to learn about randomizer. Top 4 seeds are myself, ACMLM, Christos Owen, and Jet82.
And all you guys are deserving of those ranks. 40 bunks, by the way, on Final Form's end.
40 bunks, not too bad for how early they got boots.
Yeah, they had boots within the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, the one interesting thing about a randomizer tournament compared to a normal speedrun category tournament, if there's a no major glitches tournament and there's someone like Zelda in it, it's really hard to beat Zelda and there's not much you can do about it. He's just much better at this game than most people, and you're just gonna have to hope he has an off day, and you're gonna have to hope that you have the best freaking run of your life. But with a randomizer, with Swerve in the chat, he might be able to comment on some of this. But going up against someone like Christos Owen, that they're good at the game. That they know the logic, they know what they're doing. So you might think, hey, I might have to take some bigger risk this run that I normally wouldn't take. So there's actually a chance for the lesser runner to overtake the underdog to win just because of that.
Randomizer is a bunch of luck mixed together with a lot of good skill.
That is definitely true.
And that's the case for pretty much every single randomizer that's out there. And, it makes it exciting, and that's probably why these races are so exciting. That's why we have as many viewers as we have. I know last night we had over 2,000 people watching these races.
We actually almost had 2,000 viewers solely on speed gaming, and then another almost 900 on Speedruns Live when there were 2 races going on at the same time.
Which is just amazing, and that just shows how exciting these races have become. There are people who've never done Link to the Past randomizers that are commenting about these things. They're just so excited about it and just having a lot of fun. And it's just, these races are interesting. It's just fun to see where these paths will end up going, what the trolls are going to be out there too. And we definitely, while we're still waiting for Knox to get through Ganon's Tower, there's a lot of people we could probably thank for all their hard work during the course of this tournament, including, Fiesel's been working his butt off to make sure this tournament gets on the air.
Fiesel, Mythical, all the commentators.
You gotta give a good shout out to Dark Magician, who's been holding up with a lot of the scheduling of this.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are working very hard behind the scenes to make sure this tournament runs smoothly. And every match has been streamed thus far, which is pretty crazy for a 105-person, 16-group tournament.
Especially considering the fact that there's a lot of people who would be based in certain time zones, and thus they would be stuck in a spot where they could end up having to be many matches at one particular time. But there is a lot of people out there who are working behind the scenes for this. As it's just an amazing amount of people that have worked their butts off to get this on, and I definitely would say the amount of attention this has gotten, this has been a really successful tournament.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And just the wild. There's been something to talk about each and every day over the course of the first 8 days of this tournament. And we're gonna keep with Knox until we find out that we're needing to switch over to the next race. But I'm going to guess at this point, given how deep Knox is, we're probably going to let him finish, and then we're going to get on to the next race.
Yeah, that sounds about right. It's not too much over the normal time. We give an estimate of 2 hours for each randomizer, but obviously some seeds are pretty bad. That can take over 2 hours for some people. Some people, just end up forgetting one thing. It happens sometimes. Even people like Christos Owen forget things sometimes.
Absolutely.
Forgot the chicken house in Kakariko in our showcase race to hype up the tournament. Ended up having the bow in it. so pretty much anyone can have a bad run if they have a little lapse of judgment.
I mean, we saw this in the case here with Knox. He left behind the spot above the graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
And, if that has a single rupee with a single arrow in it, no harm, no foul. But this had an essential item in it. So isn't even my final form will now improve to 1-1 in the tournament here, and Knox will go down to 0-2, but there's still a possibility that he can get into the bracket phase at this point. As he makes his way through the gauntlet, and look at that lag with the silver arrow usage.
Oh man, it did get in. Awesome.
Something did get in, huh?
A Link to the Past, all dungeons swordless.
Oh, nice. If you're not certain what we're talking about, a certain game list came up this evening while we've been doing this commentary. So if you'd like to have some more Link to the Past action after this tournament's done, there's something that's going to be going on at the some speedrunning event in July. I'm not certain what it's called. I hear it's in some northern state with a bunch of lakes around it. That's all I know. Maybe you can help clue us in.
So if you're new to the randomizer watching, not necessarily really know too much about the speedrunning community, they're biannual marathons for speedrunning done to raise money for charity. Next one in July. Schedule just got released. That's all you really need to know.
Yeah, not the schedule, but the game list.
The game list. That's what I meant. So Knox, nothing too wrong happening in this tower.
A northern state is
taking a nice kiss from that high beam right there, though.
A northern state's the kind that I'm in, where it snows in April. And I curse Mother Nature for it. And we're seeing the Hyrulean bomb toss here from Knox. That's 4, that's 5, and we get it on the 5th try. And Knox flying off the edge.
Also, for those of you curious, we were going to submit Link to the Past Randomizer to SGDQ, but because Christos Owen was not going to be able to make it to SGDQ, we decided to wait until AGDQ, since he is one of the main main minds behind the whole thing. We wanted to make sure to include him in it.
Oh, I absolutely understand that, because he is one of the key people in this game. So I see somebody named Andy's going to be running that at GDQ. I don't know who this Andy person is.
Yeah, I don't know too much about him. He might be that and4H guy in chat, you know. Sometimes, you know, his name is also Andy. Knox hitting up Aghanim 2 here. Not taking too much damage, not taking too long. Being a little disrespectful. Kids, close your eyes. But,
For shame! It's 8 o'clock Pacific time. The kids are still awake.
like I said earlier, Gold Sword Ganon, pretty easy. Being able to count your hits is actually really important in the Ganon fight because, wow, Knox got really lucky and ended up using the slash recoil to get through the fire battering. But counting your hits will actually help you avoid taking damage. If you can get out of there early and, you know, not really be in close combat with Ganon, the less likely you are to take damage. It's a little harder to do with Tempered Sword because you do need 12 hits per phase, which is a little harder to get in the short amount of time. But with only needing 6 slashes, it's pretty easy to just get 6 in and run away. Ooh, Knox missing the slash. There we go. Alright, so there's 1 arrow. Should be able to get a double in here. There's 2, or 3, I mean. So 1 more light, and that should be GG. There we go.
And Knox finishing up here, and we'll get the official time coming up in just a moment.
Knox dashing into the Triforce room with a official time of 2:08:28.
And let's have a round of applause for both of our runners here during what has been a very interesting run. And I think once again it came down to the hammer of all things.
Knox's comment says hammer location, and insert words here. 30 minutes later, there it is, tilted off the side of the world. So there you have it.
And I think that sums it up really nice right there. I think we've got probably a few minutes here before we have to switch over to the next race. And looks like Knox is going to decline the interview process as well. So I think at this point, we can just go ahead and wrap things up. This was a very interesting race. It came down to a few twists and turns. I think hammer was definitely one of the changing things.
Yep. And coming up next, we have Bent Glass Tube versus Wild Anaconda 69. Should be a good race. So stick around. And I don't know who's taking over for us because no one is on the under the commentary list, but hopefully somebody will be coming to take over for us.
Yep, we're going to have some people talking to you at some point in time during the course of this next race. So we are going to get on out of here. Andy, it's been a pleasure working with you.
Yeah, it was fun.
All right.
Be sure to follow the runners. They both stream fairly often, do randomizers, other things.
All right. Well, with that being said, I'm Adirondack Rick.
And I'm Andy. Adios.
Good night.